一緒だな、最近。
Resistant prostate cancer. Choosing and sequencing therapy. Right. Okay, thanks for that kind introduction and reminding everyone that there's probably a better option to hang out outside and actually have this lecture today, but thank you all for coming nonetheless. So what I'm talking about today will be kind of an overview of how advanced or metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer is treated. And in doing so, I will highlight the fact that actually there is no standard sequence, but it does give you an opportunity to provide rationale for how, as clinicians, we select treatments for our patients when there isn't real clear data on that. It also gives you a chance to define what these therapies are, what the therapeutic targets are, and also what the side effects are, which is also a very important aspect, obviously, from the clinician and patient perspective. So this is the landscape of prostate cancer over the last really 20 years. And so if you take a look down here, you basically have early stage disease where patients are newly diagnosed and essentially cured by surgery or radiation. And for the most part, that's about 50 to 80% of patients who are diagnosed. So I'm not going to talk about that today. I'll be talking about patients who have more advanced disease that's metastatic and castration resistant, which means it's growing despite hormone suppression of the testosterone level. And I'll show you why that's important in a second. But for patients with advanced disease, it's growing despite castrate levels of testosterone, so we call it castration resistant. And then metastatic obviously means it spreads to bones, lymph nodes, or organs. And you see that until basically 2010, we really had one therapeutic in the space that had any evidence improving overall survival, and that was chemotherapy docetaxel. That was followed by roughly 5 to 6 years of combination failures. And so therapeutic cancer vaccines, the Luzal T, came about, although this treatment was not without its controversies. This was followed by second-line chemotherapy agent, nab-paclitaxel, also 2010. Shortly thereafter, two additional anti-androgen therapies, abiraterone and enzalutamide, were approved for post-chemotherapy metastatic prostate cancer in 2011 and 2012, respectively, before they were approved for patients who have not yet received chemotherapy in advanced prostate cancer. So they're kind of now approved throughout this whole space. And then also, radium-223 is a radiopharmaceutical that was approved based on survival advance. Early data show survival advance. So typically, you have immunotherapy, a radiopharmaceutical, a chemotherapy, and hormonal agents. So very diverse options for therapies in the state. So this again highlights why testosterone is important in driving prostate cancer and again, a definition for castration resistance. So what the term means is that basically these patients have a suppressed level of testosterone, but their cancer is still growing. And this is either in the form of a rising PSA, which is a biomarker in the serum that can be used to detect prostate cancer, or an imaging. And this is a necessary definition because the androgen receptor is the driver of prostate cancer. And by having androgens and testosterone bind the androgen receptor, it leads to a cascade of events that leads to intracellular signals that lead to cellular growth and proliferation. So in first-line therapy, when patients have early disease or metastatic disease, the first thing we do is lower the testosterone castrate level. And this can be done with a hormonal shot. It's rarely done with surgery these days, but that's also an option. But once that is no longer effective, that's when these other therapies come into play, and that's when we start talking about castration-resistant disease, which is the focus of this lecture today. So the first-line therapy is chemical castration or surgical. So let me just also define another thing that may have already caused you some confusion, and that is, I already mentioned the two agent therapies that have been shown to improve survival of prostate cancer are anti-androgen therapy. So I told you that my lecture is going to be focused on castration-resistant prostate cancer. So this actually is it sounds like a paradox, but it's actually once you understand the resistance mechanisms that develop, you'll see that the androgen sequence of cascade of events that from androgen signaling is still the driver of disease, even castration-resistant disease. So castration-resistant disease again means we've lowered the testosterone level. But as the resistance mechanisms show, there's still sufficient androgens in the tumor microenvironment that can allow for the disease to be driven by this pathway. So one mechanism of resistance is AR amplification. So more receptors might be able to scavenge more or less levels of androgens in the tumor microenvironment. But this is more relevant when you take into effect that it's become clear over the last decade or so that the tumor cells themselves can actually produce androgens. So even though we're castrating with chemicals or drugs patients, that suppresses testosterone production from the testicle. It doesn't suppress testosterone production from other tissues, and now we found out that the cancer cells themselves can make their own androgens. There's also the potential for ligand-independent growth or androgen receptor splice variants. So what this means is you basically have a pathway that is active that leads to intracellular signaling, that leads to cellular proliferation, but you actually don't need the ligand, in this case testosterone, to bind to that pathway. There's a mutation in the receptor that makes it constitutively active. So that's another issue, and there also can be other intranuclear changes as well. So you'll see that by still coming in with some of the therapies I'm going to talk about, you can still target the androgen receptor in these patients that have a clinical benefit, even though they're castration resistant. So I just wanted to explain that apparent paradox. It used to be a term that we used to use called hormone refractory, but because clearly the hormone pathway is still driving the disease, that is really more of an outdated term as based on current knowledge. I'll just also highlight some data from 2015 that was somewhat surprising, I think, but in retrospect, I don't really think it should have been. And that is the fact that there are mutations in prostate cancer that are associated with the disease. I think for a while, people thought there weren't a lot of mutations in prostate cancer, but I think we know better now. Not surprisingly, you probably can't see this in the back, but the primary mutations are in the androgen receptor. Although the average patient, I think, has about 3 mutations. The real surprise from this actually came down here, the DNA damage repair pathway. That's mutations like BRCA1. This is something that was surprising that about 30% of patients with prostate cancer actually have mutations in the DNA repair mechanism that could potentially be therapeutically targeted, and I'll come to that at the end of this lecture. Not yet approved, but certainly promising path forward. So another part of this equation before I get to some more clinical dilemmas is you need to understand kind of the house rules of dealing with prostate cancer. It's based on a prostate cancer working group that has met 3 times over the years and really defined some rules that I think are very valid and important. The primary one, which as a clinician and also as a patient, as hardest to deal with, is that PSA is not a marker of treatment failure or disease progression on its own in metastatic disease. Basically, radiographic imaging should be your primary mechanism by which you judge either disease progression or the efficacy of therapy. And obviously patient symptoms and their tolerability to therapy is also important. So when I see a patient, my primary thing is how are they feeling? System-wise, are they tolerating the drug? What does the imaging tell? What does the imaging tell me? And all the way to the bottom of the list is what the PSA is doing. Unfortunately, even in the community, I think it's still hard to really tear yourself away from the PSA. And it's also because the patients become very concerned. And it takes a lot of time to explain that, yes, your PSA was always important, with your diagnosis, and when we determine that they have recurrent disease, it's also my PSA. But it's hard to detach patients from explaining to them that it's not as important once you have metastatic disease to be following imaging. Okay. So as I kind of alluded to in the opening, we have a lot of therapies for metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer or SBRTC, but there's no clear data that says this is what we should do and this is the order we should do it in. So in the absence of data, I'll provide my opinion and try to back it up a little bit at least with how you would choose the different treatment options for your patients. And I think again, they're based on the rationale for this explanation I'll provide is really based on the treatments themselves, the side effects they have, the patient you're looking at, what are their comorbidities, and how do the side effects that are potentially possible going to affect that patient's lifestyle and other comorbidities, and how symptomatic is the disease and how rapid the pace is of the disease. Hopefully that'll make a little more sense as we move through. So it's approach to dinner time, so I do kind of use this analogy where our treatments are somewhat like a menu. So if you have a patient, and hopefully no one gets too hungry if they just close the coffee shop outside, so you have to tough it out here, but these are kind of the options you have for your patients and how I would break it down. I think Sipuleucel T we'll talk about is an appetizer. Appetizers are for everybody, but some people like them. I think in this case, treatment's not for everybody, but I think it's selected patients that seem to be a very good therapeutic option. Your first course is probably one of the anti-androgen therapies. They have less toxicity, and if the disease is not moving too rapidly, I think and patients are too symptomatic, I think it's a good option. Second course consists of a little more toxic therapies, docetaxel and radium-223, and the third course is a second-line chemo agent, and then some of the additional options we haven't chosen yet earlier in the menu. So we'll start off with the appetizers I've labeled it here, which is Sipuleucel T. I think the ideal patients for this are early metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer, patients with minimal symptoms and low volume and slow pace of the disease. There's different retrospective studies that show that in prostate cancer immunotherapy may work best in these type of patients, and I think there's some specific data with Sipuleucel T. So what is Sipuleucel T? So you've heard a lot in this lecture series about immunotherapy. Probably haven't heard about therapeutic cancer vaccines, but there's really only a couple approved, and the other one is a lytic vaccine, so this is kind of unique in the oncology space. It's actually patient-specific. So it's derived from the patient's own peripheral blood mononuclear cells, which are collected via apheresis or leukapheresis. They're shipped to a central processing facility where they're exposed to the target antigen, which is prostatic acid phosphatase, along with a cytokine called GM-CSF, which basically enhances immune activation. Those activated immune cells are then shipped back and reinfused in the patient. So basically, you put the patient's immune cells through boot camp getting the target and hope it can really seek out and destroy that target in the patient. The full course of therapy consists of 3 infusions once every 2 weeks. And here is the trial that led to its approval. It was basically a 2-1 randomization between the vaccine and the placebo, and overall survival was the endpoint based on some earlier studies. So this phase 3 trial demonstrated a clinically meaningful and statistically significant improvement of 4 months in survival benefit with really limited toxicity. So this actually, the point out earlier, was FDA approved in 2010. But I mentioned that there's controversy with this, and this is where it stems from. So I think now a lot of people are more familiar with immunotherapy, but 2010 it was very much less common than it is now. So when no one saw that, and you can kind of see a little bit of the overlapping survival curves in the first 6 months, when people didn't see the PSA go down, and they didn't see disease level on the scan, even to this day there are people who don't believe that therapy works for that reason. I think survival data speaks for itself. There's actually 2 phase 3 trials. One that was done earlier where this was not the primary point, which demonstrated a very similar survival advance. And I think the data is legitimate, and it does make sense for what we know now about immunotherapy. It also highlights what I mentioned earlier. If you have slow-moving disease, this is probably a reasonable treatment, as opposed to if you have 6 months to live, it might not impact your patient. So that's why I think this should be used up front. I also mentioned that lower tumor burden might be a reasonable choice of population to use this in. So I'm going to go, speaking on both sides of my mouth here, I told you PSA is not important, and it's not a perfect indicator of tumor burden because it's not proportional to a patient's tumor burden. One man's PSA 5 is another man's 50 is another man's 500 in terms of relative tumor burden. But what this subgroup analysis demonstrated was that patients with a lower PSA, which may likely correspond to lower tumor burden, had a greater improvement in survival than if you had higher PSA levels. So it's not like you were going to do better anyway. If you had a low PSA less than 22, your median survival was much better with Sipuleucel T than if you gave someone whose PSA was over 100. The marginal improvement was less. So I think people are always like, well, Sipuleucel T, if you don't know it's going to work, how do I pick my patients who use it in? Again, slower pace of disease, but also perhaps to some degree tumor burden or lower PSA may be a reasonable thing. So that would be the patient I would recommend. These are the toxicities that we're seeing with Sipuleucel T, so I'll go over the toxicities again with each of these therapies. Not that you can memorize them because I know series might get more and more dense, but just again, these are things you want to factor in so you don't, so you pick the right treatment for your patient. So these are all pretty mild infusion-related side effects. I should probably take the stroke thing off. This really hasn't been validated in post-market testing, so I don't think there's a stroke risk with this treatment, but it's actually pretty well tolerated, and some patients have kind of reactions shortly after the infusion, which actually would be very similar to an immune effect, so I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. So that's Sipuleucel T. And I guess those of you here, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me anytime. I'll try to answer them. So as we move on to the next course, we're kind of on to the first course. So where not everybody gets an appetizer, and I'm trying to find who the right people are, I do think the first course is hopefully for most of the patients, especially if they have minimal to moderate symptoms. And the first drug I'll talk about in this situation, the other thing I'll mention is that Sipuleucel T doesn't really improve pain symptoms either. So that's another reason why I would choose slow-growing patients without a lot of symptoms. So enzalutamide is a very well-tolerated therapy, which has minimal side effects, and it probably also works well. Even if moderate pain, it can show improved pain symptoms. Abiraterone is also very similar and well-tolerated, although the difference between these 2 therapies on a kind of a treatment administration level is that abiraterone requires prednisone. And so prednisone comes with its own side effects. I'll explain why we do that shortly. So here's enzalutamide. So I mentioned earlier that targeting the AR pathway and androgen castration-resistant prostate cancer is still therapeutically viable. There was about a decade where I think we kind of forgot about this, and then enzalutamide was developed and kind of reminded us how important the androgen receptor pathway is. So basically, what this agent does is it binds to the androgen receptor and with very high affinity and prevents androgens from binding to that receptor. It also has downstream effects on the androgen receptor, including limiting nuclear translocation of the receptors to the nucleus, which again leads to the driving or proliferation of the cancer cells. So you see these are all comparisons to bicalutamide. Bicalutamide is an older androgen receptor antagonist, which, as you can see, wasn't as effective as enzalutamide. Bicalutamide actually metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer never demonstrated survival again. So basically, what happened about 15 to 20 years after bicalutamide was developed, they built a better mousetrap. This turned out to be like $1 billion mousetrap, and they called it enzalutamide. And it really did have results that we can see with other androgen receptor antagonists. This is a phase 3 study that was done where they gave people enzalutamide versus placebo against pseudo randomization in patients who had already had chemotherapy. And the reason why it was done in the late stage of disease is because that's where you're going to get a quicker readout. And you'll see that in this 1,200 patient study, there was a very robust improvement in survival from 18.5 months to 13.5 months. Time to progression also improved, and this led to FDA approval of the agent again in patients who already had chemotherapy. So this was followed up by another trial that was actually pivotal started at the same time. 1700 patient trial that patients were chemotherapy naive, and you see that basically you had almost a better effect. These are earlier in the disease, so that's why they're going to live longer. And you see that the 1-year progression-free survival was 65% versus 14% in placebo. So very profound effect. The overall survival actually is statistically significant, but you might think real quick, well, assuming like improvement in overall survival, that's not that big a deal. Why are we using the therapy? It's going to have side effects that cost a lot of money. By the time this study was done, these patients that lived 2.5 years, many of them probably lived to get enzalutamide at some point, or another drug like it. So I think it's for as you learn more about clinical trials, it's something called the crossover effect, whether it's part of the design of a therapy trial, or just a functional aspect of having a drug approved and having another drug approved in the space. You probably get a survival estimate that's underestimating the actual treatment effect. I think that's what you're seeing here. So if somebody were to say, well, enzalutamide only improves survival by 2 months, I would say that that's probably not accurate. You're probably getting kind of a crossover effect here. So basically now enzalutamide is approved for all advanced metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer based on these 2 studies. So from my toxicities, it is pretty well tolerated. There can be fatigue though, and I've seen fatigue profound in some patients who, even though the drug works, say I can't take this anymore. So we don't want to underestimate the fatigue, which I think is the greatest clinical obstacle. But otherwise, it's a very well tolerated therapy with really minimal side effects. It is important to know though that there are some, and this is kind of a class effect with some other agents similarly, there is an increased risk of seizure that was seen with these type of therapies. And so in the phase 3 study that was done, it actually excluded patients with strokes. So if a patient comes to me and I said I don't have data as to whether to give enzalutamide or abiraterone, I'd probably give them abiraterone if they had a history of stroke based on the lack of safety data in that population. So that's one aspect of how you could stratify your treatment options. The other way to look at this is that it's important to note and sit down with an educated pharmacist and go over the patient's med list so that if they have a drug that lowers their seizure threshold, like a stroke loader, you may not want to give them enzalutamide if they can't substitute that medication. So just be very cautious with history of stroke with enzalutamide. So the other option is also equally present in this first course is abiraterone, which as I mentioned, the drawback with that is that it requires prednisone. So I mentioned that the resistance mechanisms for prostate cancer that's castration-resistant, one is overexpression of the androgen receptor. The other one I mentioned, which sounds pretty crazy, but is the capability of the cancer cells to produce their own antigens. So if you see here the CYP17 pathway here, that is one mechanism by which cancer cells can process cholesterol and then basically transform it into androgens to fuel the cancer growth, almost in an autocrine or paracrine fashion. Now, abiraterone was developed to block these enzymes, and therefore likely significantly reduce the secondary mechanisms of androgen production. And so this may happen in the adrenal gland, but it's also likely to happen within the prostate cancer tissue as well. And that's probably where it has its greatest therapeutic impact. So much like this was co-developed in the same time frame as enzalutamide. So the trial design and the strategies are very much the same. They took patients with chemotherapy and gave them either abiraterone with prednisone or prednisone alone. The prednisone is really a control agent. The reason why they get prednisone is because, I'll go back to this slide, you can get, with blocking these enzymes, you actually can get changes in your cortisol levels and your cortisone levels. And that can lead to the side effects like hypertension and edema in the legs, which are really essentially obstacles in using the therapy. So by giving prednisone, you can actually minimize the toxicity. So prednisone here is actually used to minimize the toxicity of abiraterone. And then, just so you have that background, but and again, this was a survival endpoint study, as we're really all the things I'm talking about today. So I think that this again was a clinically meaningful readout of a survival advantage of about 15 months to about 11 months. And I want you to remember this because this is abiraterone, and people at the time may have said, well, 3 months survival is an incremental gain and it's not that big a deal. How come that's at the end of the lecture show I think time has proven that statement inaccurate? But this led FDA approval for patients who already had chemotherapy and castration-resistant prostate cancer. Again, you see there's a progression-free survival advantage. PSA response rates, of course, were higher relative to placebo. And the ultimate readout of survival, again, was about 33 months. So just like with enzalutamide, I'll fix that back here. What I'm showing you here now is the data from the second study, which was in a chemotherapy-naive patient. And so in this study, which was designed very much the same as the post-chemo study, you see that there is, again, a 33-month survival advantage and an improvement over placebo. And again, the FDA basically approved abiraterone now for all patients with metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer. Now, as we get to the toxicity here, you see that, there's a little more toxicity with this than enzalutamide. That's why personally I favor enzalutamide given this option, without any other cost constraints or anything, because you do get things like hypertension and edema from this agent. Fatigue's still an issue, you get some hyperglycemia issues because of the prednisone. But don't forget, being on steroids has its own side effects, and they are probably baked in here a little bit. But we know that steroids can weaken the bones, again, hyperglycemia comes with steroids, so it should add a certain level of kind of added toxicity to this regimen. Even though there might be direct toxicity of abiraterone. So again, I'm showing you the toxicity screen so you can understand that this is what I think about when I meet patients in my clinic. I'm like, all right, well, which one of these, is kind of the best way to go. So can't you just use both? Maybe one and then use the other. And there is now actually, for a few years now, evidence of cross-resistance is actually telling us that you actually are likely to only benefit from one of these therapies fully. So it seems like the resistance mechanisms that are developing when you have either of these agents likely limit the benefit of the second agent. So this was highlighted by work done at Johns Hopkins initially, by Dr. Antonio Hopkins and this group up there, where they looked at the concept of androgen receptor splice variants. So as I mentioned this earlier, by alternatively splicing the mRNA of the transcript for androgen receptor, you can actually get an androgen receptor without a ligand binding. domain. So what that means is you basically have a switch, on-off switch, without the on-off button, but the wires are connected on the inside and they're always on, regardless of whether you turn it on or off. So in other words, you have a constitutively active androgen signaling pathway within a prostate cancer cell telling it to grow, even if there's no androgens around. And what they were able to see were that patients previously treated with abiraterone or enzalutamide, you saw by the arrows here, that they were more likely to have this splice variant. They called it ARV7, androgen receptor variant 7. And then if you had the splice variant, as you can tell by the patients in gold, that they were more likely, they were less likely to have a PSA decline. So what this is telling us is that by using these treatments, you're developing kind of secondary resistance, in this case, ARV7, that really limits the potential benefit of the second therapy. So I think that we know now there's probably multiple other variants beyond ARV7, which is an important proof of concept, and highlights the fact that you're not really going to get your bang for your buck out of OPZ. You're probably only going to use one, and so therefore, you might want to, again, use a toxicity profile to pick it. So even I think there are other countries that even help correct providers. You can only use one agent from a cost standpoint, because we know the other one's not likely to work. So just to talk about policy, but just so you guys understand about how that data plays out in the real world. So when we get to the second course on this menu, I'm generally thinking of patients who have more moderate symptoms. So they've either progressed, they've had their first course, and didn't work, and then they're moving on, or if they come into your office from the very beginning, they may not have had one of these initial treatments, but they may have more symptoms or large tumor burden or rapid phase of disease. And in that setting, chemotherapy, I think, is still a good option in prostate cancer. And I think it is probably the best option for patients with substantial symptoms, again, high-level symptoms of that phase of disease. So docetaxel, when people say don't cut down the rainforest, this is one example of why not, because taxing was discovered in the Pacific Northwest from yew tree, and docetaxel is a kind of a synthetic derivative from that initial discovery, and it's used in many cancers, including prostate cancer, and its mechanism of action is thought to inhibit microtubules from forming